I think you're live.
We
Hi,
are.
hello everyone. Really happy to have all guys here and to be open to talk to you, all of you. We are starting this session to open a conversation with our team members. So here today we have Gabriel, our CEO. We have Chris Skelly as our VP of Product, Rodrigo as our CTO, and also co-founder, and Singli as our Chief of Opportunity Officer. So really happy. We are gonna ask you guys to use the questions tab to ask any question you want to ask to one of them, or to raise your hands, and I can ask you guys to unmute yourselves and do the questions. And I'm gonna just wanna ask you guys to don't unmute if I don't call you out, because we want everyone to have the space to talk. So I'm gonna pass the words to Gabriel. So Gabriel, go for it.
So, hi everybody. Thanks for joining us. I think this is a bit long overdue. I feel like we used to do more of those encounters back some time ago, and feels like since the pandemic we stopped doing our open webinars with the community, and that's maybe something that we should be doing again. Because I like this kind of opportunity when you can have a talk, listen, engage with the community, and hear. And that's what you're here for. Because what all we've been doing since raising the Series A, expanding the team, growing the company, it's all about how can we make sure we're preparing this company to continue like to build the best of what Rocket.Chat can be, build the best distributed, open source, flexible communication tool with focus on privacy and security it can be. And along the way, we have to strike the balance on the business model, what things we're going to be charging for, things we're not going to be charging for. We have to really build a viable company, and that's sometimes where we will make the decisions on how new features where they go, and a lot of this is going to be something that we have to decide with the community. And this is one of the opportunities we want to give the community to talk to us and make sure we can explain. We see there's a lot of things that maybe we're not clear enough, and there was some misunderstanding about what is going on the enterprise, what's not going, what is changing. A lot of things that we were not changing, people were concerned about, and rightly so. So were things that we thought from the beginning on keeping on the community, and some other things that we thought were not very useful for the community. We're finding out now on the forums that they are, and then reevaluating, um, uh, uh, then moving them back to keeping them on the community. Uh, so thank you for joining. I think this is a very important exercise, a very important moment that we have in the community. We want this to be as friendly as possible. So I know that sometimes people can get very passionate about the position, things going one way or the other. Let's always try to remember we are coming from a good place of trying to make uh, the company being able to invest as much as possible back in the product to make the best product we can, to invest more in QA, to have less bugs, to have more scalability, to have a more stable product, a more feature, more flexible apps engine. We even have a webinar next week. Is it next week or the one after? Um,
Week
then
after.
week after, dedicated about talking about all the cool things about the roadmap that are coming, and then you guys see like the size of the roadmap that we're building, and understand like why all the investments that we're putting on the product, and even behind the scenes, all the investments we're putting on Q&A teams and other types of architectures that we're bringing to the team. So let's see. This is a friendly conversation. We want to hear. You're coming from a good place, and we are here to hear. So maybe if the others want to say a few words before we start.
Yeah, just to add on to that, the discussions we've been having is a a healthy community, needs to be supported by a healthy business model. And so we've been looking at some updates to ensure that really all Rocket.Chat users are helping to contribute to our goals. And we as you'll hear week after next, we have some pretty aggressive plans in terms of our investment in the capabilities of the system and the quality. And as we introduce that roadmap, we're also going to be introducing our thoughts on stewardship of our free community version as well, and our goals to make sure that we're improving the capabilities and quality of the community version, as we also introduce new capabilities and improve quality with paid products that help to fund everything that we do. So all that said, as we introduce changes, we're listening. We won't necessarily get everything right, so we're interested to hear your feedback. Thanks, everyone.
Yep. I'd like to thank everybody for, like, especially in the forum feedback. It's just incredible. Thanks for all your constructive feedback. We are definitely listening. We're actually in the process of preparing a more clarifying statement, and you will see the result of that later on, probably today, maybe early next week. Again, thanks for helping us in this. Thanks.
Hi guys, so we're open for questions. If you guys want to open your camera, do the question, or raise your hand here, or do a question in the questions tab, we are very, very open to answer any one of you guys.
Yeah, I think, Rodrigo, in the meantime, before we get any questions, maybe we could go and try to address some of the most common questions or misunderstandings that we already trying to address in the forums, right? Maybe that's going to be could be a good opportunity to be
Yes.
proactive.
Yeah, for sure. I guess one of the main concerns there were about what we are moving from the community version to the enterprise version, and how this will affect people. And I guess the communication is not clear enough on the way that people could understand that we are not removing any kind of logging functionality, identity management functionality from the Rocket.Chat at all, right? Completely. But moving some specific functions that we consider advanced features on each of those functionalities that are used more for big business, big companies, to the enterprise. So just small pieces of each one of those parts, but the basic functionality of logging on custom OAuth, or the social logins using the normal OAuth protocol as well. The SAML, the whole LDAP basic functionality, everything is still in the community code, is still for free. But the specific advanced features like background synchronization on LDAP, or roles mapping on custom OAuth, those things that are the affected ones, not the whole. We are not removing, for example, custom OAuth, I guess, was one of the main commented topics there. I don't know if you want to talk about any other. I guess this was the main confusion.
That was, I think, the big confusion where it wasn't clear enough. We tried, but maybe we did not enough of a good job. And the other one about concessions for education, right? That wasn't very clear that we do have special pricing for nonprofits and education, and there is a page that explains this on our website that you can, I think, was linked later on the forum, but it can be linked on the new posts that have more of the explanation, where we have models where we don't charge for students, only charge for the staff of the institution itself. There are some discounts, and those things like reduce the cost for some of those entities by like a lot. Like it's the and then sometimes people are not aware of all those benefits that we offer for the education industry. I can see now there are some actual questions coming up. Yeah.
Yeah, let's ask the first one. So Bellman, he just asked, like, is the financial state, I think you guys respond a little bit, but let's go for it. Is the financial state of the company at such a critical point that would push to remove features long present in the community edition, especially LDAP integration features?
upvote?
Yeah, it's a good question. So to add a note on this, and Gabriel, I think you were probably going to jump in as
Yeah.
well. It, the short answer is we are in good financial shape, but we're also significantly increasing our investments in the platform, as mentioned before. So the engineering team, the design team, the product team, which is my team, and those things do need to be funded. And so the goal is we need a high quality code base for both Community Edition and Enterprise Edition, and we have a lot of new capabilities that we want to introduce. Again, those have to be funded, which is an important part of this equation. To illustrate, we've been getting more and more requests relating to identity management features overall, and a lot of those come from larger enterprises. And so we're working to increase investment and deliver on those things. So in upcoming release, for example, Rodrigo will hold my feet to the fire if I state any of this incorrectly, but we've already done an initial refactoring of the code base, and we're adding things that have been requested, like LDAP partial syncs, the ability to automatically log users out when they're disabled on the directory side, which is super important. We're creating the ability to have separate sync jobs for group syncs versus avatar syncs, which helps to manage the process better for large organizations. So those are a couple of examples where we're hearing these requests, we're seeing the need, and we're trying to invest more, but those investments do have to be funded.
Yeah, so it's not the case that the company's financial is a critical problem. Like I just said, we just raised our Series A investment round. It's more like we have a very ambitious goals of what we want to build. It's a very ambitious roadmap. We sometimes like wonder, like, we are trying to build a hub of communication that you integrate all the omni-channel features that sometimes there's whole open source projects or very big uh, uh, um, closers, like proprietary projects that do only that part of the business, right? We're bringing that whole thing into team collaboration, which sometimes then is a completely, like, specifically set of tools, and doing the federation and intercompany communication, and on top of that, adding a very strong app engine to be able to customize the functionality, the flows of the conversations, the creation of rooms. So you could maybe, like, ideally customize Rocket.Chat to be a really good system for an event or a webinar like this. Right now, it isn't yet, but our dream is that it should be flexible enough that people could build a tool just like this one that we're using right now on top of Rocket.Chat with the right apps. So it's more on if we don't do this from the beginning and address, I think that's what also Chris was referring to as we were going to write this stewardship uh, um, uh, rules or fundamentals, right? Because if we don't address this from early stage and make it clear what things going on community, what's going enterprise, and what is the the way we relate to this, we won't be able to scale like as we need to, right? So it's more of thinking the earlier we get this right and make the distinction and this decision framework clear, the better on the long term, and the faster the company will be able to grow.
Exactly. I guess it's important to mention that those functionalities were never part of or possibility to be part of the enterprise version of Rocket.Chat because they born before we had enterprise version, and we had to reevaluate on the whole Rocket.Chat, everything we had since the beginning. What do we want to focus more, and we understand that makes fit more on the enterprise side. So it's not something we decided in the past to put in the community, and we are now deciding to improve and change to enterprise. It was there because we didn't have those options in the past as well. So it's kind of different from some people asking on the forum, If we start doing, they sell someplace, start doing some developing features to community and remove them later to enterprise, and that's a no for sure. We never did that. The inverse path may happen. We develop something for enterprise and open it back to the community, but those specific features, they were always in the community because they never had the opportunity to put them on enterprise because enterprise didn't exist at that time.
Rodrigo, I get your hook to ask this question that was voted a lot. So from Derek, from the list of contributions on GitHub, the LDAP and custom auth are not exactly developed exclusively by Rocket.Chat staff. In the future, when users like us publicity contribute features, how can we guarantee that those won't become enterprise only features?
Yeah, I guess this can be part of our serious definition that we don't want to do this, and we are not liking to make this change out from the community side as well, because moving things from the community to enterprise is not a rule, is not something we want to do. But for those that contributed to those specific features right now, we are all of course happy to keep them license to continue using because they contributed to those functionalities for free. So we are not letting those contributors alone, letting them needing to pay for those features that they contributed. And it's kind of something related to how, if you contribute to an enterprise feature, it's all open source. Our enterprise code is open source as well. So anyone is free to contribute to our enterprise functionalities as well. And we, of course, giving you something to, depending on the contribution and how we can give you back what you're giving to the product as well. So in this specific case, all the contributors, if they are using those functionalities, we of course are a part of our concession program in this specific case.
Derek, you joined briefly. Were you meant to say something to us?
Yes. So I guess kind of as a response to that, I think that the way that we're using the word free here is maybe a little overloaded because there's free as in, you know, we don't have to pay for those features. And then there's free as in, well, this is free software and everyone has the freedom to use it and modify it. So I know that, you know, for contributors that I know, including myself and people that I know who have contributed to Rocket.Chat, the kind of concession that, well, you know, you'll grant us an enterprise license to use it because we've done you a favor, right? And we've helped the community in that way. To us is not really sufficient, because really my intention when I contribute a fix to LDAP or whatever it may be is to share that with everyone, to share that with my neighbor who might not be as capable of making that fix. And to then say, well, no, that's gated away behind an enterprise subscription, to me, and I think to many other people, is not particularly satisfying. And so to kind of address what you were saying earlier about, you know, not wanting to move this feature, of course, it's not the intention to move this feature. It's just an enterprise didn't exist. My follow-up question to that is, well, then why move this specifically? Why not just start fresh and take your future development and keep it in enterprise?
And I can take I think a few comments on this one. Yes, and if you look at everything else that was added to the enterprise, it was always new development, right? I guess the problem with the LDAP and authentication, it's because it's a little bit of a mix of things. We say LDAP is a big thing. It was a big is a big set of features on top of a base code, and we didn't have even a way to break apart this code when you're trying to build initially. So it is unfortunately a little bit messy on how we start separating, how when we were finally able to break this code apart and have some features and understand what features in hindsight is easier, right? We would be able to have done some of the specific features on the enterprise that you knew would be more appealing to the enterprise and communities. So it is a bit messy. I think we will move some things, address some of the changes. We understand now that more people need than we expected, like the LDAP user filter. That's kind of like someone is already asking there again, and I think we came to understand. Okay, this is let's review this decision. It makes sense. There's more people on the community needing. It's not as enterprise-like as we expected. So that's kind of already answering the
100%.
Bernhard question. But I would ask you some, Derek, one way for you to see your contribution to the to our project, to what everybody's doing, go beyond that specific feature. In the same way as when we release the software, it's a long cycle between we receive something back and collect like some value back, and we be able to build a company, right? When you publish something on the open source, we on the beginning we were even expecting to turn this into a company. It was a completely, let's just do open rocket chat. A lot of people contributed. We didn't realize that we would actually make it create a company out of the project. That came actually later. I would like to invite you to think is that the thing you were contributing, even though maybe it's if there was a piece of the code, a specific feature that it's not on the community, helping the community directly as a code because it's not on the community again, but it might be helping the community immensely. Like, if that's such a word, sorry, because it's making the whole project become profitable. You'll be able to hire tens, if not like getting to 100 engineers to work back on the project and make the whole project to work better. So sometimes one thing that I've learned about open source is that if you always look for a direct return over investment on everything you do, that's not how open source ends up working, right? You build something because you believe on the bigger goal of the project, the greater good, and then those things compounding effects that they have in product quality, in distribution, in people talking about, in features, they end up amounting to something really great and big. So sometimes, let's just say, if you see a bug on the enterprise edition, why I would think that it's very sad if someone thinks I'm not gonna fix this part because that's how they make money. That's the enterprise side. How they make money, it's how you begin the virtual cycle of being able to invest back on the product and make the whole product and have better QAs and more front enders and more people on the mobile team and so on. So I think the benefit, you are helping anybody that contribute to the code, you are helping immensely to the project as a whole, even if your code or part of your code ends up being in a different place in this specific situation.
So I want to jump in on just the LDAP user filter question, which we are actually focusing on just before this meeting. We were just talking about it. Is that we actually just to learn that actually like community user, maybe even with a smaller base, absolutely needed as part of their daily operation. And so we really want you guys to, if you have very specific input on this area, let us know, because our view so far has been that this is a feature that's only needed by large corporations. And so here's a point where you guys can definitely, have an impact on what we're going to move. Thanks.
Yeah, and there's a lot of flexibility in how organizations set up their directory services, and so we were thinking in a certain way, but as we thought it through and as we got feedback on it, there are cases and probably a solid argument for making the filter capability part of basic. So I just want to point out that like that kind of valuable feedback is helping us to get to the right answers on this.
Yeah. On this point, Chris, let me ask you something that Claudio just asked. He said, like, it seems that this was mostly a problem of communication and not realize that these changes were actually loved by the community. How will Rocket.Chat ensure onwards when making changes to the CE version that it might not affect the community negatively?
Yeah, it's a great question. So first thing, communication for all of us is always a work in progress. The best thing we can do is what we're doing right now, of make an announcement, have a discussion, get feedback, and refine our approach. So that's really what we're trying to do, and I'm glad you guys raised this. The second part, Gabriel mentioned before, the work that we're doing internally on our stewardship principles. And so we're working through a process of really codifying our
the
stewardship
rules. Yep.
principles, rules around how we manage the community edition. And that's a super important thing. We can't have people get surprised. And so that's something that we're working on. We are putting a lot of thought into it and having some vigorous debate. And so that's something that we'll be also introducing back to the community for feedback, just like we're doing right now. And what we're hoping is that will provide a device going forward that as we communicate upcoming changes, once we publish those, we expect our feet to be held to the fire in terms of ensuring that we live by those things. So
It's going to be kind of our treaty or a contract, right, with the community. So I think there's a few initiatives that also worth mentioning. For instance, we finally were able to create a community team, right, where Singly helped to create. Invited, have like Mooney, Yash, Derek, uh, um, um, and it's going to be a growing team that is going to be looking into foster and more this engagement with the community, this kind of event. So that's one thing. We're going to have this contract with the rules on how we treat the community edition versus like enterprise. And I think the third one, it's have a much a better, more clear roadmap also of what we are planning to build, so people can look at it and say, okay, this is being built, but it's already like we're thinking about moving it, building it on the enterprise edition and building that components on the community edition. So I think when people look on the enterprise on the roadmap and understand this, like where the company is going or the features, which one is going, and we have then these forums to debate, and maybe even something that has not been built yet can be debatable and say, oh, guys, are you sure maybe this could really benefit the community, or maybe if you have those features at least in the community. So we want to be able to engage more. So use that framework, that contract that we're going to be built, on top of having a closer relationship with the community and a published forward-looking roadmap to be discussed with in light of that contract. I think that's the way you can guarantee that those things will not be miscommunicated in the future, if it makes sense.
Okay. Something more specific here. So we had Enrico asking. He was saying actually first, I really have a problem telling our bosses that we would need to invest thousands of dollars each month to pay for our LDAP users. I think that your current business model isn't flexible enough to allow a small or medium-sized business to pay for a more functional platform. Same problem when push notification got locked behind the wall. Yeah, there is a sponsoring, but other than that, there are no ways to buy a higher amount of push volume without investing hundreds of thousands of dollars a month by upgrading to Pro or Enterprise. Do you plan on making your business model more flexible and not just couple it to pure user counts?
I think we're always looking into ways to be not just flexible by being flexible, but to make sure we are like charging or giving the right the fair price for the value we're delivering, and something that also sometimes change depending on the industry. What is the I'm not sure what is the industry that Mexico this company works, because hundreds of thousands a month, that sounds like
Yeah, Enrico, if you can,
more than any contract that
yeah,
we have right now. There would be like a massive uh,
okay,
hundreds or thousands.
over
Sorry,
thousands a month. Sorry.
maybe sorry. Um, it really it depends. Like I said, like in for the education and nonprofits, we had places where we wouldn't charge for all the types of users, right? We would adapt. That was something they recreated when listening to that industry and understanding their budget limitations and the way their business or industry works. And we decided, okay, maybe it makes sense to us to charge only for that for staff members of the institution, not just all the students that might be participating. So we are flexible. We are happy to discuss uh, with you, maybe directly or other members, to get on the specifics of what you have in mind and understand your problem, and trying to create something that works for both. Someone asked about sponsoring. Yes, we do have some models of sponsoring, um, and then I think we might even expand them to include some other types of sponsoring. But those are also very limited on how they build how to build the recurring revenue model, or something that have the multiplying effect on capital that can be raised, and the way you can invest on the company, right? So that's why we were a bit, not everything is going to be through sponsorship, because that's a much more complex business model to explain, or even to run a company on top. But finding the right balance, on talking to each one specific one of you guys, I think we can maybe come up with some more options of plans that will address your concerns. Um, So
Uh,
yeah, for instance, others, someone is saying that, Derek has 40,000 users. There are a lot of, yeah. So we totally agree. Like some communities that have tens of thousands of users, it doesn't make sense for us to charge for every user, right? Sometimes they're just registered, they're not using. It's not the type of server that we are planning to build a business on top. This, we believe that a much stronger effect on helping us to spread the word about Rocket.Chat and help building the product, then we see this type of community as a profitable market, right? So we're happy to discuss and create plans where those type of scenarios and use cases are taken in consideration.
Yeah, and one thing to note on that, the reason that user licensing is so prevalent is that it can be very effective, but it's also a blunt instrument, and for certain use cases that user licensing may not be appropriate. So, kind of to paraphrase Derek and Bernard's comments, we'd like to have those discussions about different use cases and different pricing mechanisms that just make sure that the value is commensurate to the use case.
Yes. Yeah, it's something that is like on the cloud. We can have a way maybe to monitor and check the active users. So maybe that's something that we can discuss. I think right now Christopher is really already leading an initiative to review and try to simplify the plans and the pricing module plans that we have. So maybe we would go like to invite Derek and Bernhard to participate in the discussion, so you can take take your inputs and considerations and maybe create a price plan that will make sense for you guys and for your industry, right? So I'd love to do that.
And Derek is asking for an opportunity to speak.
Yeah. So along that line of these price plans, I think that, for my organization at least, which I mean is a fairly big one, for us it's not so much the actual pricing, it's more the terms of the licensing. So I have no issue, and my organization has no issue spending money on Rocket.Chat. We're happy to give you money because we use your product and we realize that it has costs to develop it. What we really don't want, though, is to essentially receive proprietary software that just happens to be open source, right? We still want the ability to share that with others. We still want the ability to modify it, all the four fundamental software freedoms. So if there is a way, and if you can come up with a way, and maybe we can discuss it further, to give you money in exchange for those extra rights and let those rights be propagated, then we're happy to listen. And I think a lot of people in your community would also be happy to have a plan like that.
Yeah, thanks for the input. We will be delighted to kick the discussion further. It's something that we're always trying to find a way of doing this and striking the right balance. So let's arrange a call that we can dedicate into this topic. And he could welcome to join us as well, please, or anyone else right here on this call.
I think he's at work, so he might be writing things on chat, and let's keep seeing it.
I saw a question on the questions tab from Bellman, I guess, saying that from Gabriel's statement in regards to needing to start as soon as possible, why not then consider to do this only for features that do not yet exist on the community edition going forward? It seems a retroactive approach is likely to set a bad precedent for the community. I have some comments on that. Maybe Gabriel can complete that. We since I guess 4 years ago or maybe more, we have this enterprise model, and we always did that. We always created only new features for the enterprise because we believe that was the right thing to do, of course. And we kind of realized that we are needing to create almost everything as enterprise nowadays to being able to grow in the market, grow and convert some the right community users to pay, start contributing to the company. And for me, it's not exactly how many features we have in the enterprise, but the right balance, or which features will be better for the business model in a way that we can contribute more of those features we plan for the enterprise to the community instead of to the enterprise. So once you find the right balance for that, I believe we can have a better product for the community in the other features, even on the enterprise ones, contributing to the community through those concessions as well. I understand that it adds a little bit of bureaucracy to be able to need to get the license itself to run those specific features, but we don't want this to affect the community in any way. It's just a matter of finding the right balance here. Gabriel, I don't know, have anything else to add on this? Or Chris?
Yeah, and that was really after a long list of things that we looked at. That was the only one that it looked like was off balance uh, um, on being all the authentication systems on the community, because when talking to a lot of the larger enterprises and some of potential customers, a lot of times we understand that that could be and was the feature that could turn, like, and companies that they sometimes they have the budget, they have the money, they have the capital to spend, but even people then working on those organizations think, well, I don't have enough to justify the conversion into a paid model, even if I actually had the budget to spend and have the opportunity. So it's, we try to get the things that were, again, we try to find a balance where we wouldn't break, we wouldn't stop any of the existing servers to work on using the login credentials and stuff that was already there, for them to continue to use those authentication systems. So it's not like we look into other tools in the market and sometimes they have the whole LDAP or the whole OAuth or SAML. It's out of a community and free edition. So like, no, let's continue to make things work, but let's try to make the things that are going to give larger organizations a easier way to organize. There are going to be some uh, uh, we have the list of like what are the kind of the thing the items that we look for large organizations that we think would be incentive for them to convert to paid, and that's how we try to base the decision. We even did some statistic analysis from the statistics collector on what features each size of servers were using from the authentication. So we try to use data when doing the decision, but obviously we don't collect, like, not all servers are sending us data, so maybe we missed a lot of the data points that could have us make a better, more clear decision. But Yeah, sorry for the long word. I think the long wording answer, but the answer in the end is we thought that that specific one was a very important set of features that large enterprise users that would we thought it would have going to impact the community, and maybe we're now trying to fine tune where the line cuts.
Right. Just to answer, I think Graham's question there about charity and nonprofits. If you are indeed one of those cases, yes, please definitely contact us with the link that Pollyanna has posted there. We are definitely very receptive to consider the case, and then we can supply you with the cost model there. Thanks.
Okay, so yeah, I'm thinking that the message from Eric. Let's make sure we get we have the email for everybody participating here, right? So we can set up a session to directly to discuss this and find a way. It's really like the is a common. We have a common goal. We want to best serve the community and trying to find a way to do this properly, in a way that is sustainable, that we can attract even more investment from VCs to keep growing. Like it's we have really big dreams and big plans of what we wanted to do, and we want to make sure that we are creating a solid foundation for the company. But we also understand when we get things wrong, and you guys spoke loud and clear that a lot of maybe a few of the decisions were not aligned with this main goal, like, and then we will correct those. We'll make sure we are all building something that is a common goal between us, the community, because we are all in one project, right? That's no us and them or us and you. We are all in this together. Is there any other questions that we missed? I think we've already
No, I
passed
think
the
we
time a
went.
little bit.
Yeah, we went through all the questions. Just we have just here one comment from Erica. So I think that's it. And we're really happy all of you guys to be very active in our community. We want more and more people to come and talk to us, to give feedbacks. We want to understand you all. So very happy to be hosting this event.
And one item just to highlight, Derek, Enrico, Erica have all really speaking about the same issue relating to the method of funding. So a couple things in there. Enrico was asking about user pricing for cloud versus on premise. And one note there is a correlation. So our support costs are higher for larger installations, but as with anything, there's a distribution. It's not necessarily an exact linear relationship depending on the type of use case. So I just wanted to mention that does exist, and wanted to highlight also, Gabriel, I think that we have a takeaway to dig into the topic that Derek, Enrico, and Erica have brought up, and make sure that we circle back and have discussions on that.
Yes, I was discussing this with Rodrigo just before the meeting about the licensing and maybe looking into different wordings on the license that could allow try to remain like the free side of like free. In Portuguese, we have two words where in English is free. You have grátis and you have free as in freedom and free as in free of cost. And we do value the freedom side of Rocket.Chat, and we do appreciate what Eric is saying is uh, we believe in the free as in freedom of the code and what people can do with the code base and the collaboration to build a better product. So we are trying to strike the right balance and still. So let's include this on our conversation on how the wording or on the licensing uh, could benefit and make sure that it's open for certain kind of use, that you wouldn't feel that the freedom of the software is being suppressed or lose that characteristic.
Well, I think that's it. We're receiving really good comments from Bellman, from Erica,
Thanks,
and from
Feldman.
Larry. Thank you
Thank
for
you. Thank you.
everyone. We have a last 2 days typing here. Let's just see this final comment for us to wrap up. If you, uh, yeah, very good discussion. Thank you. So, do you guys want to give the final wording?
I just want to say that feel free to continue asking things on the forum. We are there to answer your questions, to listen to you, and adapt ourselves as much as we can, of course. And we are preparing some changes to the forum post to be more clear. As you guys did the feedback as well, it's not that clear. We changed our documentation to be a little bit more clear on what we're doing. And of course, you're going to have a lot of discussions in the next days. Any news we share on the forum again, so we can collect your feedbacks during this process. Thank you so
and,
much.
and changes about like the filtering and some of the features that we realize now we should keep. And also like to invite people. Let's try to do this as a recurring, maybe a monthly or something like this. Singly can champion it and organize, and let's do this as a recurring again, because I think I feel great talking and hearing from the community and participating. So I miss it.
My only closing comment is thank you again for all your participation, both on forum and also in this session. I believe that no open source project can get a better community than this one. That's so supportive and constructive. Thank you very much. Yeah.
And now I need to run to get my kids from school. I'm already late.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. It was so inspiring. And yes, Gabriel, let's try to do it more and more. It's really good to be open and listen to the community.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye
Thanks,
bye.
guys.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.